Assalamu alaikum everyone. So our first lesson, Al-Makharij. The best way to learn the correct pronunciation of the letters is repetitive listening to the Quran. So you listen again and again and again until you master it. Learning the theory of Makharij and Sifat is supplement to it, but it's not a replacement. You need to listen. So that disclaimer away, let's just get into the lesson. So the word Makharij means articulation point. It refers to where the sound of a certain letter should come out from. There are 5 main Makharij, but every Makharij is also divided into smaller subsections. There are 17 in total. So 1 is the main 5, Al-Jawf, which is the interior or the chest area, 2 Al-Halq, which is the throat, 3 Al-Lisan, which is the tongue, 4 Al-Shafatan, which are the lips, 5 Al-Khayshum, which is the nasal passage. So let's look at them. So here you see a diagram showing all the Makharij and all the letters. So let's start with Al-Jawf, the interior or the chest area. It's the empty area of the open mouth. It's the articulation point of the vowel sounds. So a, wa, and e. So try saying ba, ba. Put your hand on the very bottom of your neck. You should feel a vibration there, a very strong vibration, because that is where the vowel sounds should originate from. Ba, bi, bu. It's really the same as the English vowels. They also originate from the interior, so o. They all originate from there. And then we go to the throat method. It's divided into 3 sections. أقصى الحلق, وسط الحلق, and أدنى الحلق. أقصى الحلق is the deepest part of the throat, the one closest to the interior. وسط الحلق is the middle part, and أدنى الحلق is the part closest to the mouth, so the uppermost part. So أقصى الحلق is the articulation point of ha and hamza. So إه, إه. This whole word, it should come out mostly from just a bit above the interior, so it's from your throat, the very bottom of your throat. Hamza is the sound of eh, and ha. So eh. Now the middle, وسط الحلق, it's the articulation point of ayn and ha. Again, put your hand on your neck. You should feel the sound higher than where it's felt hamza and ha. إع, إع, إح. You feel a kind of a push, a kind of a force in your throat and about the middle of it. That is why it's called the middle of the throat. And then you have the uppermost throat, the part closest to the mouth, just the articulation point of ghain and kha. So ich. So put your hand uppermost of your throat. Ich. You should feel something there. You should feel like a vibration there. That tells you that you're pronouncing it right. Ich. A lot of people make a mistake in these letters and they pronounce them from the mouth instead of the throat. That is wrong. That is why a lot of people whose Arabic is not their first language, they are unable to pronounce them correctly. It's because they pronounce it from the mouth, but should be from the throat. Now we move into the tongue, which has 10 of the 17 makharij. They can, however, be divided into 4 main ones: the innermost tongue, the middle tongue, the edges, and the tip of the tongue. So here we have the innermost tongue. It's the articulation point of kaf and qaf. We'll discuss the difference between those two letters in another lesson, inshallah. So, iqqa. You should feel that the back of your tongue is rising up. It's making the movement. It's the one controlling the movement. Not your throat. It's mainly your tongue. The very back of your tongue that's moving very forcefully. Iqqa. And then you say ik. It's a different force for kaf because of a lesson we're going to discuss, inshallah, called tafkhim and taqiq. But it also comes from the very back of your tongue. That is when you know that you're pronouncing those letters right, when the very back of your tongue is the one that's moving. And then we go to the middle tongue. Middle tongue is really, there's the bulk of the tongue. So ish, ish, ish. If you put your hand under your jaw, you won't feel like there is a certain place in which the tongue like has the most prominent movement. It's really just the whole tongue moving. Ish, ish, ish. And then yeah. Do not confuse it with yeah, the vowel sound. We're talking about the Y sound. You know, Y. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, the whole tongue. The tongue is the one that's controlling the movement. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Jim. Ij, ij, ij. Again, you feel like your tongue is making, it's the one exerting all the force, all the pressure. The other one, it was the throat. Here it's all the tongue that's doing all the job. And then we have Bod. Now, Bod is a very special letter. Arabic is actually called the language of Bod because it's not there in any other language. So it has its own way of pronouncing. So the articulation point of it is one or both edges of the tongue along with the upper back molars. The tongue should touch the yellow part, as you see, those yellow squares, and it should touch and exert pressure on the blue part. So when you're pronouncing bod, the tip of your tongue should touch the roof of the mouth, but the edges, so the sides of your tongue, they should touch and exert pressure on the roof of your mouth. Bod, bod. Else you'll come out with more of like a D sound, which is a whole another letter. So the tip just touches, but then the edges, they exert pressure. Now we go to the rest of the edge letters. So we have lam, which is also comes from the edges. Il, il. When you say il, like the L letter in English, feel that the sides of your tongue are moving up. They're touching the roof of the mouth. They're the ones that are doing the job. Il, il, il. For some people, it's both. Some people, it's only one side. And then you have in, which is a tip. Comes from the tip of the mouth, tip of the tongue. Sorry. When you say in, the tip of your tongue is rising to meet the roof of the mouth. In, in, in. That's when you know it's right. And then we have this letter. It should be pronounced similar to how you say noon. Bring the tip of the tongue up to touch the roof of the mouth, but not closing your neck completely. A small gap should be left. So you should bring the tip of your tongue up while still not completely closing and not letting any air go. You should leave a small gap, just let a small amount of air go. Now, a lot of people struggle with this letter. I am one of them. My whole family has a lisp in this letter. But if you can say the English R, which I cannot, then it's like it, but like heavier, deeper sound. Just get your tongue up, touch the roof, but leave a gap. Personally, my tongue is not strong enough to do that. So, and then we have the letters of the rest of the letters from the tip of the tongue. As you can see, there are main 9. And they can be divided into 3 groups. They have been divided in 3 columns, as you see here. So let's look at them. First of all, ilv, ilv. To get that sound, your tongue should pass between your teeth. Should go out of your teeth. Ilv, ilv. For all the letters, your tongue was really behind your teeth, but for this one, it has to, the tip of it has to pass beyond the teeth. Ilv, ilv. And then we also have id, id, id. Also like it. The tip of the tongue has to go beyond the teeth. That is how you get that id, id, id sound. It all comes from the tip of the tongue going beyond the teeth. And then we have ith, 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 ith. Ith has different sound, but also the tip of the tongue has to go beyond the teeth. And if you put your hand in any of those 3 letters, you should feel a stream of air. Ith, ith, ith. Your tongue just passes and a stream of air comes. And then we have is, is, is. That whispering S sound. Put your hand in front and you feel a stream of air and your teeth go together. Your tongue doesn't go beyond, no, like the other 3 letters, but your teeth get together. Is. We also have is, is, is. Your teeth touch and the stream of air comes. That's how you get the is sound. Is, is, is. We're going to talk about the difference between pronouncing is and is in another lesson, inshallah. Then we have is, is, is. Is has a different sound to the previous two, but also follows the same concept. Your teeth are touching and there is a stream of air coming. That is how you know that you're pronouncing this letter right. And then we have it, 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 it. So this doesn't have as much of a whisper as the other letters. It can actually be dry sometimes with no stream of air coming. It. The stream of air only comes when you release, not when you're pronouncing the letter itself. Tip of the tongue goes up. It. Then we also have id, id, id. Tip of the tongue goes up and closes. That is why it's kind of dry during pronouncing letters. You feel a stream of air after you release your tongue. So you get your tongue up, id, and then you push it down with no stream of air coming out while your tongue is up. Then you have it, it, it. It's like a T sound. There is a stream of air after you release your tongue, but there should not be a stream of air while your tongue is up in your mouth and you're in the process of pronouncing the letters. So those are the main 9 letters that come from the tip of the tongue. Now, done with the tongues, we go to the lips. So first thing is closing your lips. So im, meme sound, m sound. So your lips close. Im, just like an M. And they have ib, ib, im, ib. It's just the way that you close that differs a bit. That gives you a different sound of im and ib. But if your lips are closing, then you're doing it right. Then we have the inside of the lower lip, which gives us the F sound. If. If you speak English, then you probably know that sound. You feel a strong stream of air coming out, and the lower lip does the work. And then shaping your lips, which is how you get the W sound. Ew, ew. Your lips go into O shape. It's how you're pronouncing wow, not the vowel, wow, the consonant, which is like a W in English. Ew, ew. And then we have the last makharij, is the nasal passage, which is responsible for what we call ghunna. Ghunna will have its own lesson, so we're not going to discuss it in too much detail here. Okay, so I know what some of you are thinking. This was so complicated. This was so hard. How will I memorize all of that? So that might feel like a lot to memorize. But really, the best way is to practice. Find a Quran reading you like. Listen. You record yourself reading. Compare. If it's right, congratulations. If it's not, try again and again and again and again. It will become second nature. So I have linked a little sheet down below in the description that has all the makharij in case you forget them. But really, the most important thing is to practice. Listen to it, compare, try again. Assalamu alaikum and see you tomorrow inshallah.